that portion of the master site by the owner with the approval of this application. The applicant on the project site, and where applicable, the owner of the master site, to support the project as set forth in the plans, must comply with and satisfy concerns set forth in the Stantec review letter March 6, 2020, to the satisfaction of the township engineer. The applicant on the project site, and where applicable, the owner of the master site, to support the project as set forth in the plans, must comply with the following: the comments and recommendations of Delaware County Planning Department review letter dated August 15, 2019. Township Fire Marshal review letter of February 29, 2020. The applicant will pay a fee in lieu of recreational lands per township code. Any and all plans regarding storage, conveyance facilities, and decommissioning of existing storage facilities must be reviewed and approved by Newtown Township, Delaware County Municipal Authority, and/or its engineer. The applicant and/or owner will obtain all the necessary sewer planning approvals and permits with the Department of Environmental Protection in Newtown Township, Delaware County Municipal Authority, and will enter in such a development connection and financial security agreements as shall require the owner to comply with all township landscaping and/or street tree requirements of the township code related to Drive A and B, and provide financial security related to the same, except that the township manager in his discretion may approve a delay in the installation of the same for a period of up to 2 years if construction is imminent that would disturb those trees. Compliance in all respects with all applicable township codes, ordinances, and regulations, as well as any applicable county, state, or federal regulations, and obtain necessary storage planning modules. The applicant and the owner will post financial security and execute a developer's agreement and financial security agreement and post financial security pursuant to the MPC and Township Code prior to applying for or receiving permits, all of which will be executed by the township manager upon agreement of the township solicitor and township engineer. The applicant will pay a fee in lieu of recreational lands as calculated with township ordinance. Preliminary/final approval is contingent upon payment of all outstanding professional fees, escrow replenishment within 45 days of approval, except for properly challenged in accordance with MPC. The following waivers are also conditionally granted with this approval. Section 148-12 for joint submission of preliminary/final land development approval. Section B, 148-43B4 to allow HDPE storm pipes. Township manager is authorized to sign any agreements on behalf of the township as necessary to effectuate this approval. Resolved this 9th day of March 2020, the public meeting of the Board of Supervisors.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is made by Supervisor Russo, seconded by Supervisor Partridge to approve Resolution 2020-13, a preliminary final land development approval for parcel number 30-29-0216 Westchester Pike, otherwise known as the Marriott, Warble Marriott. Any further questions, discussions from members of the board? Seeing none, all those in favor of the resolution, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you working with us. Thank you.
Next on the agenda, we have nothing under resolutions of legislative action. Item 14, new business. Consider approving a re-advertisement to fill the custodial position. I believe Mr. Neese has already spoken about this. We want to get some more applicants. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. Motion was made by Supervisor Partridge, seconded by Supervisor Altieri to approve the re-advertisement to fill the custodial position. Any further questions from members of the board? Any questions from members of the general public? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next is consider authorizing the township manager to sign the agreement with Natural Lands Trust approving grant writing assistance. Mr. Neese, please.
Actually, there's 2 things that this agreement has in it. That Natural Lands Trust, probably about a little over a month ago now, they put together for us as options. One was to review our zoning rewrite as we get further along to make sure that it's being written in such a way that we're taking the best advantage we can do that review, and they would do that for us. Again, you know, of course, they put on there, there's no obligation by you, but hopefully you would seriously consider whatever their recommendations were once they review it. So, we're not ready for them to do that yet. My guess is that would be closer to summer. We are moving along with getting some of the zoning rewrite pieces. We've got about 4 chapters that have been submitted to us. We're supposed to get about 3 or 4 more in the next week, and then we'll be meeting with the zoning rewrite committee on that, which I believe both Tina and Mike are part of that group, the zoning rewrite. The second piece was actually for grant assistance in looking at our grants, particularly for the DCED. The grant is due the 22nd. I'm sorry, the DCNR and the DCED. The DCNR grant's due the 22nd of April. The DCED grant is due the 31st of March. Both of these are related to open space grants, one of which you approved a resolution for tonight. The $100,000 we'd like to go out on the other side, on the DCED side, and hopefully get at least part of that $100,000 match that we have to come up with. And I'll just put two together and make that as best we can. So we would like to put that together and for you. But it's Natural Lands Trust writes and does a lot of these grants, and are very effective in getting these grants. What they would do for us is actually review both of those for $2,000. I think it's $1,000 a piece, and review both of those, and hopefully we would get some input to make sure we've written it well. I believe that our EAC group is writing both of these, and they do a great job, but this would just take it up.
I'm getting a lot, do you need a formal vote or just a nod
I
of the head?
do, if you're gonna authorize, I mean, it would be a
Okay.
contract.
$2,000?
Huh?
$2,000?
It would be $2,000 for the grant review.
And $2,750
and it'd be
for the other.
$2,700
Well, that's
for the
gonna be,
other.
you would
We'll
have to come back to us.
Right.
This is just for signing authority. He has to come back to us.
What you're authorizing me is 2 things. One is to sign it, and then in April, we would come back in for a budget increase.
So moved.
Is there a
Second.
second? Motion is made by Supervisor Partridge, seconded by Supervisor Russo. Any further questions on the motion? Seeing none, any questions to the general public? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Under old business, we have consider approving the curb policy.
We talked about that earlier. The real purpose was for us to discuss where we were with it.
Okay,
We are going to make every effort to get back to you with some changes to it, and also determine whether it can be done by resolution or whether it has to be done by ordinance. If it has to be done by ordinance, obviously, we would take some other steps, and I'd ask you for us to advertise it, but we'll know that at the next meeting.
do we want to do anything with firehouse?
I think we should talk about that.
Yeah.
All right, under additional business, do we want to talk about the firehouse? Well, if we're going to take action, we have
I
to do
think
something.
we need to do something before 2 weeks.
For the firehouse?
Is the number a
Take some
third?
action. Yeah,
Then let's do it. Let's somebody put something on the table.
so,
We have an appraisal coming in any day now for this firehouse property at Sawmill
Sawmill Road, West
252,
252, yeah.
which we be buying for open space. And the fire department has agreed to sell us that for the appraised value. The issue is they need to have some funding now to do whatever they're doing with the new firehouse. So I guess I don't know how to make this motion, but maybe I'll try. Make a motion that we authorize the township manager to proceed with an agreement with sale, once that's signed, to give them a third down deposit for the appraised amount.
second.
Motion was made by Supervisor Russo, seconded by Supervisor Partridge, to authorize the township manager to enter into an agreement of sale for the piece of property at Sawmill Road 252 and make an initial deposit of 1/3 of whatever the appraised value is. And I guess once we get the formal appraisal, we'll take action on the remaining money, hopefully at the next meeting. Is that correct?
Yep.
All right, Mr. Solicitor, does that sound appropriate to you?
I didn't catch the second.
The second
Well, he
was
said
Mr.
at the
Partridge.
next meeting. Oh.
Second was Mr. Partridge.
I'm sorry, thank you.
Any further questions or discussions from members of the board? Any questions or discussions from members of the general public? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Outstanding. Is there any other additional business to bring before the board? Seeing none.
I just look forward to the stormwater management presentation next week.
I'll see you next
Next
time.
meeting, I mean.
And then one other thing, while we're talking about.
I guess we're moving on to board
Dedicated
comment?
road.
Yeah.
Okay.
The
Board
one other
comment, go
thing,
ahead.
the other thing, Steve, that we talked about a few years ago, was with Pico and the trees and BPG. I wanted to try to catch those guys. Remember the Pico people said they were gonna plant trees and then they all vaporized?
Right.
The guy, Joe, what's his name, left?
Yeah.
Yeah, so actually, I'm working with Pico, they've given me two, I'm glad you brought that up. They've given me two designs.
Okay.
One was to come in with the giant arborvitae, which would be a taller tree. My understanding.
Green
is they're
giant, they're
not-
called green giant.
Green
I
giant
think.
arborvitae, yeah.
Yeah.
My understanding
We
is
have
they're not
like
deer
5 of
resistant,
them in our yard.
and so.
The deer eat them.
They're
And
great.
deer do eat them, so they came back with,
Not until they get bigger, the green giant. And then when they get bigger, they don't eat them. Yeah, they're regular, but the green giant, they don't eat. Because we've got 6 of them in our yard, and they're
Big.
like 3 stories tall. But, I mean, they have to, while they're still tender, they need
can
to
they
be
give us-
protected.
so here's
They
what
gave
I
you
did.
2 options. Can they just draw it up,
Yeah, so,
sketch it up?
so they did, it's very rudimentary. They were gonna do 2 cherry type trees underneath power lines, because they don't wanna get them to go as tall. And then they were gonna do the green giants out to the side. I asked them for something that would be a little more deer resistant. What they came back with was only
Yeah, no.
8 to 6.
Those trees were huge, so yeah.
So
And
what
you,
I
and you can
actually-
buy big green giants, this costs more
Yeah,
money.
yeah.
So here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to recommend that we do 2 layers.
Yeah.
We do the shorter trees in front and the green giants behind, and that way if the deer eat the bottom, we don't care.
Right.
That's fine.
We have the others, if
They
that
still
makes
have to
sense.
protect them though, because
We
they'll
still have
die.
to protect them while they're growing. when they're
You can
young.
fence them off for the time being, too.
Yeah, that's all.
Can we get a schedule from Pico when they're gonna do this?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that if I give them the go-ahead, we'll have it done here in the early part of spring.
Everybody okay with that?
That's Be
Good.
forward momentum.
There we go. Any other board comment?
Rich is ready to go.
Any members of the general public who would like to make
Oh, wait,
comment?
Mr. Solicitor, I have a question.
Seeing none,
We're scoring some.
we're adjourned. Our next meeting is March 24th.